You won't believe what just went down between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, and it's uglier than anyone could have imagined. Picture this: the world's most unbothered rapper suddenly breaking down in tears on camera, throwing accusations left and right, and dragging not just Kendrick but Kendrick's kids into the crossfire. Yes, you heard that right, the children. In a shocking live stream that has fans replaying the footage over and over, Drake's voice cracked, his hands shook, and his words, well, let's just say they've left the internet split between disbelief and pure outrage. This wasn't just rap beef. This was personal, deeply personal. One moment, Drake was claiming he'd been betrayed in ways the world doesn't understand. The next, he was wiping tears and hinting at some dark truth involving family secrets, studio betrayals, and broken promises. Fans are asking, was this raw honesty or an elaborate lie to save his image? And why drag innocent kids into a war that's already tearing the hip-hop community in half? As hashtags like #DrakeLies and #Kendrick Responds explode across social media, one thing's for sure: the drama is far from over. And what really happened behind those tears might change everything tonight. This all began wasn't even supposed to be about music beef. It was supposed to be a chilled private gathering at a luxury Toronto penthouse where a handful of industry friends were invited. Drinks were flowing. The view over the city lights was breathtaking, and Drake was in high spirits, or so it seemed. He had been talking about his upcoming project, joking with producers, and even humming unreleased hooks under his breath. But something was off. Those who know him closely say his smile felt just a bit too forced, his eyes darting toward his phone more often than usual. Somewhere around midnight, the energy shifted. A close friend who has now spoken to tabloids under the promise of anonymity revealed that Drake received a private text from Kendrick Lamar. At first glance, it looked like a simple message. No shouting, no swearing, just a few short lines. But whatever was in those lines hit Drake like a punch to the gut. He froze mid-sentence, went silent for a full minute, and then muttered something under his breath that no one could catch. Sources say he walked to the balcony, phone still in hand, and just stood there staring out at the city. A couple of friends tried to approach him, asking if everything was good, but he waved them off. The tension was thick. Then, in a move nobody expected, Drake came back inside, turned down the music, and asked everyone to gather around. "You all need to hear this," he said, voice low but trembling slightly. He read the message aloud, and as soon as the words left his mouth, the room gasped. Kendrick had allegedly accused Drake of crossing a line no artist should ever cross, bringing Kendrick's kids into a private argument. Drake's eyes widened, as if the accusation itself was absurd. But the seed was planted. People in the room exchanged looks, some shocked, some confused. Drake went on a rant, saying he'd never stoop that low, that he had respect for family. But then his tone shifted. "But if he wants to make this about family," he said, "then maybe the world needs to hear the truth about his." Line alone sent whispers rippling through the penthouse. What truth was he talking about? And why hint at it in front of so many witnesses? Some tried to calm him down, saying this was not the place or the time, but Drake seemed determined over. The next half hour, Drake's voice rose and fell like waves. He spoke about studio sessions from years ago, about moments when Kendrick allegedly betrayed him in front of labels, about collaborations that mysteriously never saw the light of day. The guests didn't know whether to believe him or to suspect. This was the alcohol talking. One thing was certain: he was hurt. But here's where the night took a turn from tense to explosive. One of the guests, a young producer who had been recording behind-the-scenes footage for his vlog, had his camera running the whole time. He caught every word, every pause, every trembling hand gesture. And when the video leaked hours later, the internet devoured it. Fans were stunned to see Drake pacing the room, wiping his eyes, accusing Kendrick of calculated disloyalty. And then came the line that would light social media on fire. If he's gonna lie about me and talk about my name to his kids, maybe it's time they learn who he really is." Instantly, comment sections were flooded. People asked, why bring the kids into it? Is this really Drake? Has he lost it? Some believed this was all a publicity stunt for Drake's upcoming album, while others felt genuine sadness. Watching him unravel on camera, by the next morning, the hashtag Drake Breakdown was trending worldwide. Kendrick had not responded publicly, but subtle moves spoke volumes. He posted a cryptic black and white photo on his Instagram story. Just his children's shoes neatly lined up by the door, no caption. Fans saw it as a silent statement. Family first, no matter the noise. But in private, insiders say Kendrick was furious. A friend of his claimed that Kendrick called Drake directly that morning, demanding an explanation. The conversation was said to be short, sharp, and ended with Kendrick hanging up mid-sentence back in Toronto. Drake was reeling from the online reaction. Instead of issuing a statement to clarify his side, he doubled down. He went live on social media, this time alone in a dimly lit room, his voice softer but his words more pointed. "I don't lie. I never lie. But I'm tired of letting people paint me as the villain when they know the truth about themselves." He said viewers could see he had been crying. His eyes were red, his voice cracked mid-sentence, and yet he kept talking. "I didn't want to talk about his family, didn't want to go there. But he's been talking about me in front of his kids for years. They think I'm some kind of monster." Comments poured in live. Some begged him to stop, to log off, to take care of himself. Others egged him on, demanding he spill the truth he kept alluding to. But Drake ended the stream abruptly, leaving everyone hanging. In the days that followed, the industry became a battleground. Mutual friends of both artists were forced to take sides, some quietly unfollowing Drake on social media, others posting supportive messages about real friends and family loyalty that fans took as thinly veiled jabs. One particularly messy twist came when a former tour manager spoke to an online gossip outlet, claiming there had been an incident years ago involving Drake, Kendrick, and a heated backstage exchange where family matters were indeed brought up. The manager didn't give specifics, but he hinted that there's a reason Kendrick reacted so fast this time. As the speculation grew, Drake was spotted at a small restaurant in Law, sitting at a corner table with a woman who looked visibly upset. Paparazzi photos showed him leaning across the table, speaking urgently, while she kept her hands clasped tight. Fans instantly began guessing who she was, claiming she was a distant cousin of Kendrick's. Others saying she was just a mutual acquaintance caught in the crossfire, regardless of who she was. Those photos fueled another wave of rumors that Drake was digging into Kendrick's personal life for ammunition. The ideas sent shockwaves through fan communities, especially since both artists had built reputations for keeping family matters private. But Drake's inner circle insists this wasn't about revenge. One friend told reporters he's just tired of being painted as the bad guy. He's emotional because this is bigger than music now. It's about respect, it's about being a man, and it's about not letting someone rewrite history in front of their kids. Still, the damage was done. Online debates raged day and night, with clips of Drake's teary live stream being dissected frame by frame. Body language experts weighed in, claiming his gestures showed signs of sincere distress, while others insisted it was calculated, pointing to the perfectly placed lighting and the fact that his new single was dropping in less than a week. By the end of that week, the tension had reached a boiling point. Fans expected Kendrick to break his silence at any moment. And then, just as everyone was refreshing their feeds for his response, Drake made a move no one saw coming, and it changed the trajectory of this feud entirely. Instead of waiting for Kendrick to speak, Drake decided to take control of the narrative in the most unpredictable way. Late on a Friday night, without warning, he dropped a surprise track on streaming platforms. But this wasn't a diss song in the traditional sense. It was slower, more personal, almost like a confession wrapped in cryptic lyrics. In it, Drake rapped about broken brotherhoods, children hearing lies about their uncle, and how family dinners turned into courtrooms. The track instantly lit up social media. Some listeners swore they could hear Drake's voice trembling in certain lines. Others accused him of weaponizing vulnerability for publicity. The chorus carried a line that became the center of heated debates. "They told you I was the monster under your bed, but I'm just the one who turned the lights on instead." Fans argued whether the "you" referred directly to Kendrick's. Kidzor was a metaphor for the rap game as a whole. By morning, the song was #1 on trending charts. Kendrick still hadn't said a word, but his fans were in full defense mode. Threads on Reddit and fan forums called the song manipulative, claiming Drake was trying to guilt-trip the public. Some even shared old interview clips of Kendrick praising Drake in the early days, framing this whole mess as a tragic fall from grace. But behind closed doors, insiders said Kendrick was livid. Apparently, he saw the song as a direct attack and, worse, an attempt to turn his own children into pawns. In a rap narrative, one of Kendrick's longtime producers allegedly called Drake that day, warning him to back off before you say something you can't take back. Meanwhile, in Toronto, Drake's phone was blowing up. Fellow artists, childhood friends, even extended family members were reaching out, some offering support, others telling him he was going too far. In one leaked voice note from an anonymous source, a mutual friend could be heard saying, "You're making it about the kids now, bro. That's not the move." Drake's response was calm but icy. "It's already about the kids. I didn't start that." Over the weekend, the drama took an unexpected twist. A popular gossip channel released screenshots it claimed were from a private group chat involving both Drake and Kendrick from years ago. The messages, though partially blurred, appeared to show Kendrick venting about Drake to a few close friends, mentioning that "even my kids know better than to trust him." While authenticity couldn't be verified, the screenshots fueled the idea that this feud had been brewing for a long time and that the children were indeed brought into the conversation long before Drake's recent comments. Fans were torn. Some now believe Drake's tears were genuine, that he was deeply hurt by being villainized in the eyes of innocent kids. Others dismissed it as a carefully timed leak designed to justify his behavior. And just when things seemed to be spiraling into endless back-and-forth speculation, a video surfaced that set the internet ablaze. It showed Drake outside a small park in Los Angeles, talking quietly with a young boy and girl who fans quickly claimed were Kendrick's children. The clip was grainy, shot from a distance, and there was no audio, but the body language was telling. Drake knelt down to their level, gesturing with his hands. While the kids listened intently, within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Captions like "Drake confronts Kendrick's kids in public," and "the moment that crossed the line" went viral. Drake's team insisted it was a complete misunderstanding, that he had run into them by coincidence and was merely saying, "Hello," but the damage was done. Kendrick's camp allegedly called this the final straw. In a rare move, Kendrick posted a short but pointed tweet. "You bring them into it, you answer to me. No emojis, no hashtags, just raw warning." The tweet got over 1 million likes in less than an hour, and suddenly the hip-hop world was holding its breath. The media frenzy exploded. Every major outlet covered the feud, dissecting timelines, replaying the park video, and debating who crossed the line first. Talk shows invited body language experts to analyze the clip, while podcasts speculated whether this would lead to a physical confrontation. Amid the chaos, Drake seemed unfazed publicly. He was spotted at a club that weekend laughing with friends, posing for photos, even singing along to the DJ playing his new track. But those close to him tell a different story. That he was restless, barely sleeping, and obsessively reading every comment online. Kendrick, on the other hand, went quiet. Again, no interviews, no public appearances, just studio time. Insiders whispered that he was working on something, not just a track, but an entire statement in musical form. Fans were certain this meant an incoming diss record, and speculation over its content ran wild. Then came another curveball. A woman claiming to be an ex-girlfriend of Drake's went live on social media, alleging that Drake had a history of using personal family information against people in his inner circle when things soured. She said, "This isn't new for him. He knows how to hurt people where it matters most." While some dismissed her as chasing clout, others pointed out that timing was suspiciously aligned with Kendrick's silence, as if she was being encouraged to speak. The public was split, right? Down the middle. One half believed Drake had been wronged, painted as a villain in front of children who didn't understand the whole story. The other half saw him as calculated, willing to involve innocent lives for the sake of winning a feud. Things escalated. Further, when Kendrick's cousin, a lesser-known rapper, dropped a freestyle on SoundCloud directly naming Drake and accusing him of lurking where children play. The track was raw, unpolished, but it sent a clear message. This wasn't just between Kendrick and Drake anymore. The whole family was involved. Industry. Veterans began to weigh in. Some warned both sides to pull back before things got out of hand. Others subtly picked sides, with one major producer tweeting, "Family is off limits, always." Drake liked the tweet, which confused fans. Was he agreeing with it or mocking it? By now, the feud had grown beyond music, beyond public perception. There was a genuine tension in the air, as if everyone was waiting for a breaking point. And just when it seemed that Kendrick would remain silent until his rumored diss track was ready, something unexpected happened, and it didn't come from either of them. It came from someone who had been quietly watching everything unfold from the shadows. Someone who knew both men personally and had nothing to lose by speaking the truth. The person who stepped into the chaos was none other than a retired tour manager who had worked closely with both Drake and Kendrick. During one of their earliest joint tours, he hadn't been in the spotlight for years, living quietly in a small town. But when the feud reached boiling point, he suddenly appeared on a popular podcast, promising to set the record straight. Fans tuned in live, expecting vague industry gossip. What they got was a bombshell. He began by saying that the tension between Drake and Kendrick was older than most people realized. It didn't start with a diss track or a misinterpreted lyric. It started backstage at an arena show nearly a decade ago. According to him, Kendrick had confronted Drake in a private room, but a rumor that Drake had been talking about his family in casual conversations with mutual acquaintances. The tour manager claimed he was in the room when it happened, standing awkwardly by the door as the two artists went back and forth. Kendrick told him straight up, "My kids don't need to hear your name in my house," the tour manager recounted, his voice low and deliberate. And Drake looked him in the eye and said, "Then stop giving them reasons too." The hosts gasped. The chat section blew up. Whether it was bravado or a bad joke, the line clearly stuck with both men for years. The tour manager went on to explain that the confrontation had ended without a handshake, just a tense silence before they went their separate ways. From that point on, he claimed every interaction between Drake and Kendrick carried an undercurrent of distrust. Little jabs in interviews, subtle shade in lyrics, even who they chose to collaborate with, became part of the Cold War. And now, years later, it had spilled into the open in the ugliest way possible. The interview was clipped and spread across social media within hours. Fans debated whether the tour manager was telling the truth or just chasing relevance. But his words matched pieces of stories that had been floating around in fan circles for years, lending them a new sense of credibility. Meanwhile, Kendrick was still silent. But silence doesn't mean inaction. Industry insiders revealed that he had booked extra studio time, canceling other commitments, and had been seen working with producers known for crafting sharp, biting diss records. Rumors flew that the upcoming track would not only address Drake directly, but would also dismantle his image piece by piece. Drake, on the other hand, seemed to be playing his own game. Instead of responding to the tour manager or waiting for Kendrick's next move, he began dropping cryptic voice memos on his social media. Each one was only a few seconds long, but they contained loaded statements like, "Truth always wins. Children hear lies before they hear facts, and history will remember the quiet ones." Fans analyzed the tone, the background noises, even the pauses, searching for hidden meanings. The tension was now more than just a rap feud, it was a cultural event. Late-night hosts made jokes about Drake versus Kendrick, the Kindergarten Chronicles, while serious music journalists wrote essays about the ethics of involving family in public conflicts. Memes flooded the internet, some sympathetic, others savage. But then came the next twist, one that caught even the most obsessive fans off guard. A short video surfaced on a private social media account, quickly re-uploaded to Twitter and Instagram, showing Drake in what looked like a private dining room. Sitting across from him was a woman many fans recognized as Kendrick's sister. They weren't laughing or smiling. Instead, the footage showed Drake leaning forward, speaking in a low, intense tone, while she nodded slowly, occasionally glancing away. Nobody knew the context. Some believed Drake was trying to mend things by reaching out to Kendrick's family. Others suspected he was gathering personal details for leverage. The clip reignited the firestorm, with people accusing Drake of crossing yet another invisible line. Kendrick's cousin, the same one who had dropped a freestyle earlier, posted a scathing Instagram story within hours. "Family ain't a chessboard, okay? And you ain't the player you think you are." The message didn't name Drake, but nobody doubted who it was aimed at. Still, there were those who defended Drake, arguing that maybe he was trying to resolve things privately. One industry blogger claimed the meeting with Kendrick's sister had been arranged through a mutual friend who hoped to broker peace. That was true. The plan had clearly backfired because public opinion was turning uglier by the hour. Amid the uproar, Drake's closest friend posted a cryptic comment. "On social media, sometimes the bridge you try to build ends up burning twice as fast." Fans took this as confirmation that whatever Drake had intended, it had not gone the way he hoped by now. Even brands and corporations were getting involved in the conversation. A major streaming service teased a curated playlist called Family Business, featuring both Drake and Kendrick tracks, alongside songs about betrayal and loyalty. This only fueled the narrative that the feud had become bigger than the music, bigger than the individuals. It was now a spectacle. And just when everyone thought they had seen every possible angle of this story, another insider dropped a revelation. According to them, Kendrick had privately told friends that if Drake didn't apologize directly to his kids, there would be no reconciliation, only escalation. When this leaked, fans were stunned. Some saw it as a fair demand. Others thought it was an impossible condition designed to back Drake into a corner. Either way, the ball was now in Drake's court. For days, he said nothing. Paparazzi caught him leaving studios, entering restaurants, always expressionless, never answering shouted questions. His silence was almost as loud as his earlier tears. Then, in a move that nobody predicted, Drake scheduled a live stream. Announcement alone sent shockwaves, after all. His last live stream was the teary, emotional rant that started this entire public meltdown. Fans, journalists, and even other rappers marked their calendars. Everyone wanted to see if he would apologize, double down, or unleash something entirely unexpected. The night of the stream, over 2 million people tuned in. The screen lit up with Drake sitting alone in a simple chair, a single lamp casting a soft light on his face. He started slowly, calmly saying he wanted to clear the air. He acknowledged the park video, the song, the sister meeting, but then, in the middle of his speech, his tone changed. "People want me to apologize. 2 kids who've been told lies about me their whole lives," he said, his voice steady. "But maybe the person who owes them an apology is the one telling those lies." The chat exploded in real time. Some fans screamed in all caps for him to stop. Others cheered him on. He didn't back down. This isn't about music anymore. He continued, "This is about who gets to tell the story. And I'm done letting someone else write mine." Before anyone could process his words, Drake leaned forward, stared into the camera, and said, "If Kendrick wants war, he'll get it, but the truth won't spare feelings." The stream ended abruptly, and with that, the stage was set for the most personal diss exchange hip-hop had seen in years. Everyone waited for Kendrick's move. But when it came, it wasn't a song. It wasn't a tweet. It was something far more shocking, and it landed like a grenade in the middle of the internet. What Kendrick dropped wasn't a track at all. It was a full-blown short film. It's released without warning on his official channel. No trailers, no hints, no promo. It was 21 minutes long, shot in stark black and white with no music, except for soft background hums and the occasional faint heartbeat. The opening scene showed Kendrick sitting in a small living room. It's 2 pairs of tiny shoes by the front door, the same imagery from his earlier Instagram story. For the first 3 minutes, he didn't speak. The camera stayed on his face as he stared into the lens, his eyes unblinking, his breathing slow. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, deliberate, almost painfully calm. "This ain't about rap," he began. "This is about respect. This is about my family hearing their father's name in the wrong mouth." What followed wasn't a rant or a verse. It was a narrative, almost like a spoken word piece. Kendrick recounted moments over the years where he felt Drake had crossed personal lines, told stories about industry events where conversations were twisted, and even described a time his oldest child asked why people on TV were saying bad things about Uncle Aubrey. Halfway through the film, the visuals shifted. Blurry reenactments showed shadowy figures, clearly stand-ins at parties, backstage areas, and private dinners. The implication was that Drake had been present in these moments, that certain comments were made, and that seeds of distrust were planted long before the public ever caught wind. Kendrick never outright insulted Drake, but the weight of his words hit harder than any diss track could. He spoke directly to his kids at one point, saying, "The world's gonna try to make you choose who to believe. You've only got to believe what you've seen with your own eyes. You've seen who's here every day." The internet exploded. Within an hour, reaction videos, breakdown threads, and think pieces were everywhere. Fans called it the most surgical takedown in rap history without a single bar. Others said it was manipulative, that Kendrick was using art house tactics to guilt Drake into silence. Drake's camp was silent for nearly 48 hours. During that time, the short film racked up tens of millions of views, and Kendrick's name trended continuously. Memes mocked Drake, portraying him as the villain in an old black and white crime movie. Others flipped the narrative, showing Kendrick as an overdramatic filmmaker avoiding a real musical battle. Finally, Drake broke his silence, but not in the way anyone expected. He posted a single photo to his social media, an old candid of him and Kendrick laughing together at an award show years ago. No caption, no explanation. Fans argued over its meaning. Was it a peace offering? A reminder that things weren't always like this? Or a sarcastic jab at how far they'd fallen? That post alone got over 5 million likes in less than a day, but it also reignited the war. Kendrick's cousin jumped into the comments, writing, "Don't fake history for the gram." Within minutes, Kendrick himself liked the comment, his only public acknowledgement since the film dropped. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, mutual friends were trying desperately to broker peace. One insider claimed that a major festival had offered a staggering sum of money to have Drake and Kendrick perform together as a symbolic truce. Both camps had declined. Too much had been said, too many lines crossed, and then, out of nowhere, another video surfaced, grainy phone footage from what looked like a small private birthday party. In it, Drake is seen leaning over to speak to a young boy who fans swear is Kendrick's son. This time, there's audio. Drake's voice is quiet but clear. "Don't believe everything you hear, lil man. You'll understand when you're older. And when you're older." The clip was barely 15 seconds long, but it set the internet ablaze all over again. Some saw it as proof that Drake was trying to mend fences on a personal level. Others saw it as blatant boundary crossing, using a child to make his point. Kendrick didn't respond publicly, but sources close to him claimed he was done talking. Whether that meant no more films, no more diss tracks, or no more public appearances was unclear. Drake, however, seemed energized by the chaos. He was spotted in the studio with some of the biggest names in rap, hinting in interviews that his next album would have chapters. Fans took that as a sign that the feud would be immortalized in music as the weeks went on. The drama became less about who was right and more about who would speak last. Every post, every like, every tiny interaction was dissected as if it held the answer. But deep down, fans knew this was no longer just a battle for public opinion. It had become a personal Cold War with no clear end. And just when people began to think the storm might finally die down, a well-known hip-hop journalist dropped a cryptic tweet late one night. "Y'all think it's over? Nah." The most disrespectful move in this feud hasn't even happened yet. With that, the entire internet braced itself once again. Whatever was coming next, it promised to either end this saga once and for all, or take it to a level nobody had ever dared before. So here we are, standing at the edge of what could be the final chapter or the start of something even messier. After the tears, the accusations, the cryptic posts, the short films, and the kids being pulled into the spotlight, one thing's crystal clear. This isn't just about music anymore. It's about pride. It's about control of the narrative. And it's about two men who've both built their careers on never backing. Down. Fans are left asking the same burning questions. Will Drake really put all of this into his next album and make the feud immortal? Will Kendrick ever drop that rumored diss track, or has he decided to wage his war through art and silence? And most importantly, is there any possible way this can end without one side walking away completely destroyed in the public eye? But here's where you come in. We want to know exactly what you think. So was Drake pouring out genuine emotion, or was it all calculated for attention? Did Kendrick's film feel like the moral high ground, or a carefully crafted guilt trip? And whose move are you waiting for next? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't hold back. If you think Drake was right, say it. You think Kendrick's playing it smarter? Let us know why. And while you're here, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe for all the latest on this saga, and hit the bell so you don't miss the moment the next bomb drops. Trust us, the next chapter is coming, and you're going to want to be here when it does.